How was the homework?
There's definitely some patterns.
Thought there might be.
There's a lot of anger that I've noticed, actually. When I feel a certain feeling, I sometimes physically shake it off.
Huh. I think sometimes it's entirely appropriate that someone sees that we're upset about something or we're pissed off about something. I'm wondering if any of the historical stuff has been perhaps what we talked about last time. Do you think about the past much?
I don't want to go there.
Welcome to this week's episode of In Therapy with me, Alex Howard. And for this week's episode, we're going to be having the second half of Sally's second session. And in this week's episode, we're going to be going deeper into Sally's relationship with her feelings and emotions. And as the session unfolds, you'll see me inviting her to start to feel into more of what's going on for her. And you'll see some of the very common resistances and ways that we sort of learned to not feel safe, to not connect into what we're feeling. And I think this is a great kind of real life example of what I talk about often in these vlogs, about the importance of making space for and feeling our emotions. So here's Sally.
So when I'm checking it, I'm just checking in regularly when I'm on my own. How do I feel? Because I feel like unless something's happened that's external, I'm very flat. There's nothing like, I'm not like, oh yay, and I'm not depressed. So I'm very flat.
Say more about the flatness.
Just, I don't think I feel anything like, but that kind of makes sense from what we've been talking about.
Yeah, I think that there is probably a certain amount of emotional numbness. And can you feel any of it now?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just I'm just like neither up nor down.
Yeah.
Which is, it's okay, but...
Yeah, but it's sort of an absence
yeah,
of something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you locate it in your body, like where you feel that sense?
In my chest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say a bit more about it. So there's a flatness. What else?
Just like a numbness, I guess. Yeah.
Is it okay to feel that?
No, probably not. What are you going to tell me?
So why would it not be okay to feel that? So let's give some voice to the resistance. So it would be not be okay to feel that because?
The flatness? I don't know, because it's dull. I don't know, it's nothingness.
Would you be interested to explore it a little bit?
Maybe.
What I heard was a no, but I'm going to be polite and say maybe.
Yeah.
So let's give some voice to the no. Like,
Okay.
what's the place in you that's like no? And by the way, it's really okay that you feel. I'm honouring that you feel that way, but I'm curious about it. So what's the no? What's the fear of what might happen if you explore it?
I don't know, it might release a demon or something, I don't know.
Yeah. So you might be out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a really good example of your homework. So what do you feel? There's a kind of numbness, flatness. How do you feel about how you feel? It's not okay.
Okay.
Might release a demon. I might lose control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense, yeah.
Would it be okay right now to feel a few % of it? So we don't have to go into the whole thing, but just I'm really curious because to me, numbness is not an absence and sort of like there's a deficiency is not ultimately normally an absence. It's normally just a kind of layer of protection. Does that make sense? So
yeah.
It's sort of like some people will experience it or describe it like it's kind of like a steel edged. For others, it will be like it's just like a hardened stone. For others, it will be like it's just kind of like it's a kind of barrier or a wall. And others, it's like there's just not really anything there. And some people actually genuinely think, I don't feel anything. And it's possible, but it's sort of unlikely. Like normally there is, it's just that's what you've got used to feeling. So just see if you can just, we don't have to go far, and I'm not going to push you, and you've only got 5 minutes left. So whatever happens, you're going to be out in 5 minutes. But just as a kind of beginning point with it, just see if you can describe to me a bit more what the numbness or what the kind of flatness feels like.
Just like almost like a dull burning.
Interesting. So a dull burning. And like, is it your whole chest or is it just part of your chest?
My heart maybe.
Yeah. So the kind of location of your physical hearts.
Yeah.
So there's a dull burning. If you were to rate it on a 0 to 10, like 10 it's like burning on fire and 0 being it's kind of nothing there, what number would you rate it?
7 or 8.
Wow. So it's not nothing. I mean, that sounds like something that's quite intense.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you feeling towards it right now?
I don't want it there.
Yeah. So you want to get rid of it?
Yeah.
So this is where normally you would kind of shake it off or you
Yeah,
would kind of be
just
busy.
ignore
or
it.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that option is absolutely available to you. And you've got 4 minutes left now. So you can also filibuster the time by using lots of words. But it's really interesting to see that that's what happens, right? That we go from a numbness, like there's not really anything there, to actually there's quite a lot that's there.
Yeah.
And then in the feeling there's quite a lot that's there, it's like, right, I want to kind of get rid of that and kind of make it go away. And that's pretty much what you've done historically over the years of your feelings, right?
Yeah.
And your feelings are sort of the early warning sign for your body. So when your feelings would have said, this feels overwhelming, or I feel scared, or I feel whatever, and the more you push through and shake that off and ignore that, the more you end up draining your physical body. So it's, I think, an important piece of the jigsaw in sort of understanding and seeing the whole thing. So you've got 3 minutes left now. So is it still that kind of burning fire?
Yeah.
What else can you tell me about it?
Yeah, it's just a dull burning sensation.
And is it just in your chest, or is it spread sort of beyond your kind of heart area?
Yeah, maybe it is a bit further out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How far out is it?
I don't know, but it feels like my back's starting to hurt now.
Can you say anything about that?
That's just one of my symptoms that I get when I've overdone it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, you've got 2 minutes left now. So normally, what would you do to get rid of it? You would shake it off.
I just ignore it, yeah.
Okay.
Stay busy.
Yeah. Okay, good.
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Not ignore it.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I'm going to suggest you do now is do exactly what you normally do and ignore it and shut it down, and we'll change the subject.
Okay.
But what I want you to see is, so firstly, that option is always available to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that as much as I will sometimes push you a little bit further than you want to go, it's always a gentle encouragement. It's never a, right, you need to, right, we're extending the session, Oliver. Clear my diary. We're here. And Sally's not leaving until I get tears. It's like that approach of forcing is just going to cause things to shut down. So what we were doing there was just gently feeling a little bit, being curious a little bit about it, but also letting it be there.
Yeah.
And then there's a point where it was like, kind of, I'm not sure. It's like, okay, fine. You can always return to the strategy that you've got. And in time, what you're doing, it's sort of like the principle of bouncing your boundaries, but bouncing your boundaries with your emotions, that you're gradually growing your capacity to feel and to experience what's there.
Yeah.
And what starts to happen in time is we absolutely start to discover there is an amazing wisdom in our feelings. And we don't need to be afraid of them. It's the opposite. They are a gift, and they have an amazing wisdom that if we can trust, that our life becomes infinitely more magical and wonderful with them. But that's a learning. That's not something that I just tell you as a fact. It's something that you discover in your own experience. Any final questions that you've got?
No, I think that was everything.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Have you managed to distract enough yet, or do you need to distract a bit more?
Yeah.
Is it still there a little bit, or is it
A little
going down?
bit. It's going down now.
Okay, good. Yeah, so you can also see that you distract yourself, and I'm sure by the time you kind of get outside, you'll distract yourself away, and there'll be a part of you going, what was that? What happened there? And your homework over the next few weeks is the module 7 will give you more context. please go gently.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, there can be a gentle push to explore things, but you're never forcing, and you're always listening to your emotional body, and you're honouring your no when your no is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good. You're welcome.
That was a really hard session, and again quite uncomfortable in parts. And what's been going around in my head a little bit today is that I've spent such a long time trying to be strong and to not feel things, because I've needed to just keep calm and carry on. And it's going to be really hard, because not only have I got the physical pain of having chronic fatigue, but now I'm going to have to go through some emotional pain. So that's quite hard to think about. So I'm probably going to ignore it for a little bit, as has been the pattern. But I did sort of have a sit this morning and tried to feel what I felt, and I felt sad. I don't know why, and started to cry and tried to sit with that a little bit, and then remembered what Alex said, and that I can go gentle and I can ignore it a little bit, because it's going to be a bit challenging to start feeling things. So yeah, I sort of shook it off and took the dog out for a walk, and yeah, I just feel a bit sad today. I just thought I'd share that because it felt like I should. So yeah.
So I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. I'd love to hear your thoughts and reflections. What's it like for you when you start to feel into and connect with your feelings and emotions? What comes up for you in that experience? I'd love to hear in the comments. Please do also like the video. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also click the notification bell. It means you'll get notifications as new episodes are released. These things all really help us as well, because they tell the YouTube algorithm that this is content worth watching and worth sharing. For next week's episode, we're going to be touching base with Hannah. We're going to see how Hannah's been doing since her last session with me. So I look forward to giving the update and sharing that with you next week. Have you had a chance to reflect on some of the bits that we talked about?
The one thing that I really related to was not feeling safe and trying to think your way into feeling safe, and then just disconnecting from the body.
The body doesn't distinguish between something that's real and something that we vividly imagine. So it's kind of like you're re-traumatizing your body by going through all of those scenarios in your mind.
That's a horrible thought.
There's a sort of disconnect at the moment between what's happening in your body and what's happening in your mind, and we're trying to reconnect those two pieces.